We're in the final furlong for the race to Old Trafford. 4 teams remain, but who will make it to the Theatre of Dreams?
Yeah. Let's go. I go the hardest. I bring the pain.
Johnston with a flying finish.
It's all part of the game.
What a try that is from Leeds.
What strength to get that down.
Go hard. Go hard.
Yes, this time next week we'll be building up to the grand final. Which 2 teams will contest it? Well, we'll find out about 20 to 3 on Saturday afternoon. We'll know the finalists for our showpiece at Old Trafford on Saturday the 14th of October. And I'm delighted to welcome to the studio 2 men who'll be working for the media this weekend, Barrie McDermott and Carl Amor. Thanks for coming in, chaps. Barrie, good to see you. How's life at Sky?
Really good, thank you. We've been treated to some fantastic games, fantastic entertainment, and I have to say, the highlight of the year, admittedly, the stuff on the field has contributed. It's been the entertainment, it's been the crowds, it's been the atmospheres, and so many times I've got in my car after a game, my ears are ringing because it's been that loud and been a real pleasure to be at.
Look, sometimes we get carried away, but it has been a particularly good season, hasn't it? Because we've had loads of jeopardy as well, haven't we?
With, what was it, two games left or two rounds left, we didn't know who was going to get into the top 6. We didn't know who was going to make those top 2 positions, who was going to win league leaders, and then the final
I was in the
finale.
car park at Leeds, not sure where I was going on that Friday night.
I was worried when they said you were in a car park waiting for somewhere to... But let's not go there. But yeah.
No helicopter.
Just great, just fantastic. Drama everywhere. Like to think we at Sky, we're a very passionate team. We care about what we do. I'm a very small member of that passionate team, but we try to give everybody everything that they want on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
And you're going to be doing Channel 4 on Saturday.
Yeah, no, look, to back up everything Barry's just said there, I can't remember a season like this one that we've just had in terms of all those different scenarios that could have and maybe should have happened. But look, just super excited now, and fans particularly, as much of the drama that we had there, this is the real juicy part of it. This is the part that we all get really excited about, and with so much on stake, so much ahead for these players, these clubs, an appearance in a grand final. Might we see 2 new teams in there? We don't know just yet, do we? So we're looking forward to everything.
You pleased you retired?
Yes, absolutely. No, look, I'm very, very lucky that I get a small little role in terms of working in the media, and it's it's the next best thing to playing, and I can't wait. But clearly, my time was done. So.
Right, before we talk about the 2 semi-finals, let's just talk about 2 eliminators they had last week. Hull KR Lee, Barrie. Now, I don't upset Derek Beaumont anywhere whatsoever, but did Lee run out of gas in the end, do you think?
I think they ran out of numbers more significantly, and those quality players, Zach Hardacre, Asiata and Luatelli, who hasn't been there for a longer period of time, when those 3 names weren't on the team sheet, the height of that mountain just got a little bit higher. So for him, I think probably it's been a successful season. They could have only dreamed of making the playoffs, winning a Challenge Cup, and Kyle's talked about 2 new teams being in that final. Well, again, the Challenge Cup had everything, didn't it? It had Golden Point, it had 2 new teams, 2 new sets of fans that were going down there with the expectancy that they were going to win. Hopefully, we might get an element of that at Old Trafford. But I think for Lee Leopards, it's been a fantastic year, one of learning, and maybe if they are to grow and develop, it might be underneath the top tier of players, and the reserves and the academy and all that infrastructure, and the bottom of the pyramid might be where they spend the time in the next couple of years.
Just on that though, Baz, that was always one concern that we'd said many a time, and a lot of people had said, was the sheer size of Lee's squad. And in the end, with those key personnel missing, that's when it kind of came home to roost, didn't it, really?
You want to use Zach Hardacre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that,
that their 1 to 17, when they were fit, were able to cope and showed right at the start of the season, all the way through to the Challenge Cup final, that they could mix it up with the best. But the big question mark for them was what was underneath that. And you know, you always say that you hear it in sport all the time. It's not the best 1 to 17, it's the best 1 to 25 or whatever that genuinely goes on and wins that trophy. So again, I agree with Baz. Massive success for the Lee Leopards.
Challenge Cup, first one in 52 years. Seeing all those leopard print around Wembley, it was brilliant. No, it was brilliant. We make a joke of it.
Yeah.
Derek is the best marketeer in rugby league.
Oh, without doubt. But everything that not only on the field, what he created off the field. You know, I remember sat at home watching Sky on a Friday night thinking, if I was a fan, I want to be in there. You know what I mean? So, you know, brilliant. Tip your hat off to Derek.
And I talked about the atmospheres, Mark. Those atmospheres at the Lee Sports Village were as good, if not better, than everybody else. And everybody has their own version of it. But I thought the real investment in getting people to the ground early.
It's the entertainment business, isn't it? We're in the entertainment business.
Giving them a reason. So we're all dyed in the wool. We'll be there. Great game. We're in the car. We're going. What has my wife, my daughters, my son, whoever it is, my friends who aren't perhaps rugby league people, what will motivate them? Well, it's a good atmosphere. It's entertainment. You know, the corporate hospitality has to be spot on. But, you know, just going back to the names on the team sheet, it's not just about what Zach would contribute or the 3 players we mentioned within the 80 minutes. It's during the week. So in a playoff scenario, leading up to that game, that difficult game against Hull KR, the influence would have been there by Zach, but it would have been even better if he'd have been able to train. So all in all, a really successful year for Lee.
And let's give credit to Willie Peters, just been named Coach of the Month for September. Look, after the disappointment of a Challenge Cup, Hull KR have played very, very well and have probably played more open rugby than they did in that Challenge Cup final as well. And it paid dividends in that playoff.
It's motivated them. That loss has motivated them to all the great teams respond really well, don't they? Everybody gets down, everyone gets down in life, but they don't spend too much time down, and that learning process that they've gone in and gone through means that they had enough to beat Lee. They've got a really difficult task this week at Wigan, but you would not put it past them, would you? To go to arguably the most hostile environment in the league. The only one to rival that is Catalan, and that's the other semi-final. So yeah.
Well, OKR have beaten Wigan already twice this year, so I don't think I think the shackles are off for them, Baz. I really do. I think they go in there knowing that, you know, it is the Lions' den, if you like, and for them the pressure's all on Wigan. I think you know. After that Challenge Cup final loss, I think they went 6 in a row, was it?
Yeah.
They come into this, so they're very, very dangerous side. Whenever you play a team that's caught the wave of the back, you know, we almost look at Salford last year, and who can remember their playoff run they went on, pushed St Helens all the way, obviously without Brody Croft. You know, it could have been a different story, but they came in off the back of a momentum, like a wave of momentum, and when you play teams like that, it makes it very, very difficult as an opposing player. You know, you're almost. I don't know, I always think that when a team comes in with that much momentum behind them, they're almost a try-up before they even start.
And that's it, and it comes down to those key players. Salford's key players, one of them was the man of steel, still reigning man of steel now, Brody Croft. Andy Ackers got knocked out early in the game. Yeah. Brody Croft, I think, picked up an injury the week before, so they went into that game against St Helens. St Helens had too much for them. You look at Hull KR, their key players are Walker, Lewis, Snyder, Parcell, who was outstanding last week, and Jordan Abdul, who's coming fit at the right time.
Ryan Hall.
You can go throughout the team and look at the experience and the strike.
Isn't it as old as you, Ryan Hall?
Yeah. He's got the same shoulder, he's got the same shape as me, minus the little veranda at the front.
But he's playing great, isn't he?
Exceptional. And he looks after himself, he's a good pro and a good influence on the environment. Good lad.
Kenny Dow, Minchella as well, you know, you throw those names in, they are a very dangerous side, and I don't think, I think Wigan will obviously be very, very aware of it.
We'll talk about the semi-final detail against Wigan. How good a job has Willie Peters done?
Oh, brilliant.
And Danny Maguire as well.
Brilliant. Obviously, a lot of eyebrows were raised when he wasn't named as one of the coaches of the year, and I think he's just picked up an award for this month, hasn't he? September's coach of the year. So, you know, what he's been able to do is come into that group of players. Ryan Hall spoke in an interview with Sky about how he got them so fit that these guys, this playing roster had never been that fit before. So he's obviously came in and set the bar of what he expects and his standards are, and everybody's jumped on board of it, and he's got some of those players playing in the best form of their careers.
Matt, what he's managed to do is bring a bit of St Helens into Hull KR. St Helens often talk about dragging teams down and into the deep water where it's difficult to breathe. In other words, the cycle within a rugby league game is that taxing. Your fatigue levels are that high that, you know, it's impossible to keep up with teams like St Helens. Well, Hull KR have got that because they're prepared to go where everyone else is uncomfortable. That's where they want to be.
But that's a different type of Hull KR we've seen in the past. Under Tony Smith, they were all ad-lib and everybody would jump off the back of it and they would almost trick shot their way into a game, where now, I agree with Baz, I think they're happy to play the long game, put them in corners and try and suffocate them.
Well, let's talk St Helens. They beat Warrington 16-8. James Roby, 494 appearances. He only managed 37 tackles against Warrington.
Get him out of there, hey? No, what a phenomenal...
Last, obviously, home game as well.
Yeah, you know, obviously there was a lot of emotion in and around that game, and, you know, obviously I'm still quite close with some of the playing group there, and I spoke to them through the week, and, you know, they all were just on task. They really were. They weren't sort of, they recognised that, but that mindset, that playing group was only ever going to go there and obviously just try and win. But for James Roby, I don't think, well, certainly in my time, obviously there was a great hooker before him, wasn't he, Kieran Cunningham, and I don't remember
another statue,
sort of too
isn't it?
much. I think it has to be, doesn't it? You know, you've got James Roby, the records, the numbers of trophies he's won, he's captained them in the most sort of successful period.
And he's a nice fella.
Within Super League, and he is a role model for anyone within the game. If you're going to look up to a player, I don't think you go too far wrong with James Roby.
It's one of the things we're really proud about our game, isn't it? One of the things that I was only talking about Graham Murray this week, and one of my old coaches asked me what were the one thing that I took away from my time with Graham Murray. He used to say, the two non-negotiables here are please and thank you. We say that, we live that, we act that. But once we get over that line, we do everything that we need to do to get the win and make sure our teammates can rely on us. So Graham Murray had that philosophy, but if you're looking for a living, breathing example, it's James Roby, isn't it? And I'll tell you how old James Roby is. I played against him. He was only a babby then, and obviously Kieran Cunningham, phenomenal player that he was. The club has a list. It would have a Hall of Fame list as long as any other clubs, but some of those players are probably, you know, defining players of their generation, and I would certainly put James Roby in that. What is the secret to his success? Nobody knows, do they? Nobody knows.
No.
Before, obviously, we're going to talk about St Helens a little later in the show. Word on Warrington. Obviously, that great start, then the dip, and then they scraped into the playoffs.
If the secret of James Roby's longevity is a unquantifiable, unanswerable question, then I'm going to chuck the same at Warrington. That I do not know what went on. You can look at it from external noises and think maybe they started to believe what everybody was saying about them and they took the foot off the gas. The learning, because sometimes you learn most of the time sometimes you lose most of the time in our sport. You're learning. The learning for them for next year is they've got to stick to task, haven't they? They tried to play a different way than they did the year before under Darryl Powell. It didn't work. But Sam Burgess coming in, I have to say, they've gone down the route of an experienced coach with Tony Smith. Darryl Powell was a massively experienced coach, but it could be a stroke of genius bringing Sam Burgess in, because he's somebody that lifts any room, any environment that he walks into. So as long as he's got the technical support around him and people who can fill in the gaps in his knowledge, then hopefully it could be Warrington's year next year.
Quick word on Warrington. You went on loan, didn't you, last year?
Yeah, no, I went on loan.
And you witnessed some of the issues.
And obviously, you know, I had done a podcast not too long after it, I think, again with Sky, and kind of copped a little bit of flack off that. But I only just spoke about what I seen with my own eyes. Look, we are all great people in the game. We are all good, you know, rugby lads are good lads, you know what I mean? But good lads don't necessarily, you know, that doesn't mean that you can be a good bloke and win a competition. You have to behave in a certain way, and you have to basically work hard. And when I got to Warrington, what I saw was a group that thought they were working hard, and I'd just come from this well-oiled machine that had delivered titles after titles after titles, And what I saw wasn't a team that was prepared to work hard. Now, obviously, there was a lot of dynamics in there. When I got there, we were, you know, it was a horror, a car crash season, you know, and basically it was a team that it kind of really give up. And I think in the end, I ended up giving up with it all as well, because, you know, I was right at the end of my career. I was almost thinking I was going there trying to salvage something that perhaps wasn't there. And then what I saw this year was I saw them flying out the traps and brilliant, but then I reckon they just got comfortable. And I reckon whenever you get comfortable in sport, you're done, you know. And I think once they got comfortable and stopped again, perhaps doing everything that got them that success early on, the season is ruthless and it'll find you. And when it finds you, it won't let go of you. And that's what happened. And ultimately, Darryl Powell paid the price. And but what I will say is, I think that towards the end with Gary Chambers there, I think they got a bit of a reaction. I think they competed a bit more in games.
They were lucky with Vaughan's ban at the end, weren't they?
I think even against St Helens, you know, it was the question that I asked Gary Chambers afterwards, that you know, he must be proud of their effort, because their effort was there. You know, to get that game back to within, you know, 8-all at St Helens, that takes some doing. So he's got a group that cares, and he got a group of quality players. They just need somebody, and Sam might be the key to just, you know, maintain those standards.
It's that deep water analogy, isn't it? You don't have to hold your breath forever. You just have to hold your breath longer than
them.
Longer than your opposition, yeah.
Right, well, Wigan had their feet up, didn't they, last week? We caught up with their coach, Matty Pete, after winning the League Leaders' Shield.
Well, it's playoff season. We're on the road to Old Trafford. Wigan Warriors head coach Matty Pete alongside me. Matty, firstly, congratulations, League Leaders' Shield winners. It's no mean feat finishing top of that trio after 27 rounds, is it?
No, thank you very much. Big achievement. I think obviously it was very close this year, so it was between the three of us and small margins. So we got to lift the trophy, and it was a good night for us. A lot of recognition for people throughout the club. I think to finish top suggests you're in a good place as far as your academy, your physios, your strength conditioning department. Everyone contributes. So yeah, proud night, but that's done now really. We've had a weekend to enjoy it and start again on a level playing field now.
And a cauldron against Lee, big atmosphere, big crowd. It was almost felt like a kind of playoff dress rehearsal in some respects, probably what you needed.
Absolutely what we needed. Ultimate credit to Lee and what they've built there. Very competitive team, great atmosphere as you mentioned, and it was a game that certainly could have gone either way right to the end. So as you mentioned, exactly the kind of game we needed. Just fortunately we got out of it with the win.
And obviously the silverware, always nice to win, but the things that come with it, a home playoff, a week off, what are you using this week for now? An opportunity to just tweak a few things?
I think firstly to refresh the players, and then we've got to get some work done. Yeah, we learnt a bit from that game at the weekend. As you mentioned, it's the most intense game I've had for a while. It probably highlighted a few areas where we can improve, and also remind ourselves what we've been doing well. So hopefully we'll get the balance right and we're ready for the following week in the semi-final.
Matty Pete there, what a great job he's doing. He seems very relaxed as well, doesn't he? He's grown into a role.
It comes back down to a conversation we were having before we started recording. Preparation settles everybody's nerves. It doesn't matter what job you're doing. And Matty Pete is a very measured, very intelligent, very dedicated, diligent coach. And I've seen him come through the system at the Wigan Warriors and watched him learn his trade and with a humble approach that I think is bearing fruit now. You can see a mile off how much respect the players have for him. So they'll follow him into battle. And talking about Sam Burgess, he's trying to get players to follow him into battle, albeit he's not there with an instrument to do some damage. But what Matty Pete does is he gives them an incredible game plan. He gives them confidence, and it seems to be working. And they look like they're going into this game thinking about the next one.
Feels like the old Wigan a bit now, doesn't it, on Matty Pete?
I think so, yeah. I think, look, he obviously had that success with the Challenge Cup when it was at Tottenham. I think the big thing for Matty Pete is they've lost the last two semi-finals, if I'm right. I think Leeds have done them both. Now, I think that this time round he doesn't let that happen again. I see a much battle-hardened, prepared Wigan. I think they've gone through those.
Probably the best defence at the moment.
No, definitely. And I see Wigan going all the way and getting to the final for sure. But and as well, I actually think for Wigan Warriors, it's going to be a good, successful couple of years ahead of them. I think the players they've recruited for next year, they've got some quality kids as well. Probably the challenge for Matty Pete, Baz, is particularly in the middles. We're hearing Luke Thompson as well, aren't we? He might be added into the fold. If he does, he's got a lot of front rowers there. He's got to keep some happy, and they're all quality front rowers as well, and even the young kids who are coming through. So, but that obviously that's for next year. But for this year, I see Matty P. His whole demeanour never changes, does it?
No.
Whether he wins by 50 or he loses a close game, he doesn't really give a lot away, and I like that in a coach, me. Because
Don't be doing front rows out of a job, Kyle. Where's his loyalty gone? I used to have a coach that used to say you need 6 front rows in your club.
So
4 to be available for selection, 1 to be injured, and 1 to be banned. And I know which role, I know which one I took up.
yeah, but no, like I say, I think they've got an awful lot there next year. So
I watched the way they celebrate the league leaders. It was an experience for me where I thought I've not seen them value and treasure a trophy. And I mean, on the way to
It's been a while,
significance,
thanks to
yeah, it has.
Carl's old team.
But in years gone by, you would have seen them go, yeah, we've won that, we're on over here. I think there's an approach of we're going to enjoy this now. And sometimes within your career, you talk about Roby 500 plus. I'm below 400 myself. And sometimes on the way through that career, you forget to enjoy. And it looks what Matty Pete is doing. He's saying we enjoy this, but we're quickly on to that next one.
Well, he's up for Coach of the Year, Matty Pete, which will be awarded in Manchester on Tuesday night, when we also award the Steve Prescott MBE Man of Steel. Now, we've got the shortlist was announced this afternoon on Sky. Jack Wellesby, Bevan French and Tom Johnston. 28 tries for Tom Johnston this season. Wellesby, French, Johnston.
Yeah, look, all terrific players. Obviously had fantastic seasons. For me, it's not going to be a surprise, but I think that's Jack Wellesby's for me. I think he's worth 10 points every game. I think whether he scores a try, creates a try,
he's been awesome this season.
He's been unbelievable. Almost at times he's one of, and as players, Baz, and I've no doubt you'll be able to remember or point to a specific player that when you've got them in your side, you can almost just chuck them the ball and something will happen. They're that special, and I think Jack has been, for 22 years of age, he has won.
I had to check how old he was today, to be honest.
He's won everything.
Because he seems to be around years.
He's just outside that young player bracket. He's won twice coming into this one. So his list of achievements are pretty significant. We might talk about that later. You can make a strong case for everybody there. Top try scorer, electric Bevan French, who can create a try from nowhere. Jack Wellesby, who's been phenomenal in every game that he's played. Asiata. Why is he not on that list? I mean, I know you might have to bump somebody off, but I think he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, no, look, whatever 3 names get thrown on there, we've all been around long enough where there's going to be an eyebrows and people saying, why is he in, why is he not? We've all got opinions, but it is on a point system, isn't it? And accumulated over the year, those 3 are worthy of being in there.
Right, it's a grand final a week Saturday. We'll have a best build-up here on the Sportsman. Make sure you subscribe.
You're watching the Sportsman Rugby League, the home of Betfred Super League Online.
Tune in to Last Tackle every Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
And a huge final on Sunday in the Betfred Women's Super League. It's York versus Leeds. Leeds are the current holders. They beat York 12-4 last year in the grand final. So it's a repeat of last year's final. You're doing it for Sky on Sunday. You did the 2 semi-finals. Saints won the Challenge Cup. It's probably Saints are probably 2 of the best 3 sides in the competition this year.
Yeah, I think right from the very start, when a ball got kicked, the game understood and knew that the finals would have been made of one of those 3. Yeah. However, what I will say is Wigan have improved at a rate of knots. Wigan are certainly.
They gave York a game, didn't they?
Absolutely did. Particularly in that first half, they scored the first try of the game. I know it was a break away from backfield there of an interception, but they are improving, and that's what we want in the women's sport. We want the women's game to evolve, and new teams come and players get better, coaches get better, etc. It still very much is an amateur game. We know that. We've got to give it time. But having said that, this final will be a fantastic game between Leeds and York, a rematch of last season's grand final.
And the beauty of this, you've got York who've won the League Leaders' Shield last 2 years. Versus last year's winners.
Well, that's the question mark for Lindsay Anfield's girls, is that when it comes down to the big game, the League Leaders' Shield, that is the hardest one to win. We all know that, but it's the one that least gets celebrated.
Yeah.
Whenever they've got into a semi-final, they've imploded and they haven't quite nailed the game plan of what Lindsay Anfield won. Now, is it this time round where she gets it right? Because I think the last couple of years, the semi-finals and the final has gotten away from them. So it'll be interesting. I've no doubt the motivation for the girls from last year's final at St Helens when Leeds beat York will be there.
And a quick one, Barry. It's great we've got the women's final on Sky and we've got a wheelchair final on Sky as well. Brilliant.
Listen, Sky gets beaten up most weeks, doesn't it? Because of various reasons. But I have to say that their commitment to the game at all levels is something that certainly I'm proud of. And I think it's brilliant. I'm going to use my pyramid analogy again. We need more participants. We need more people playing. And what we've managed to do is give some prominence to the people that are playing at the top. Our job now is to get more people in at the bottom. And it's a real bright light in our game, the women's game. There's some superstars in there. Tara Jane Stanley is as good a rugby player as you'll ever see. And, you know, people like Jodie Cunningham and Emily Rodger are as tough as you'll ever see. And then, you know, Kira Bennett is as industrious as you'll ever see. So everything's there, isn't it?
But look at the girls that we've lost over Australia. Georgia Roach, of course, winning the NRLW championship with the Knights, and Holly Dodd. And, you know, look, it's fantastic. Keep it coming.
Right then, live on Sky on Friday night. It's an absolute cracker. It's Catalans versus St Helens.
Job done by the Catalan Dragons, back into second place in the table.
The Super League champions, St Helens, march on.
Yes, really looking forward to this on Friday night, live on Sky. Part of the team will be Barry. Come on, then, sell it to me. Sell it to me.
These are the games that don't need selling. There's going to be I talked about a hostile environment. There's going to be a hostile environment over at Catalan, and they do that really well, don't they? The noise, the way that they get behind the side, the way that they criticise their opponents. But, you know, if you were to put these two opponents together on a field in the middle of Oldham, I think you'd still get a great game. The ingredients are all there. Everybody is expecting their team to win, so both sets of fans and spectators are going hoping and expecting their team to come away and go through to the grand final. But I don't think it's cut and dry. I think, you were talking about Coach of the Year, I think in a World Cup year, to get the disruption that he got to his team, Steve McNamara, and put this campaign together, all he's got to do is cross the T's, dot the I's. I think he gets through to the grand final.
Right, so let's get the St Helens view. They started the season as world champions. Mm-hmm. Bit of a roller coaster. Yep. Now they've done 10 on a bounce. Not beaten Catalans this year.
No.
However, beat them in a grand final a couple of years ago. Beat them in a playoff 3 years ago. Beat them in the playoffs 9 years ago. Can Saints go and do it in France?
I think it's if you want my brutal, honest answer, I think Catalan win this week. I do. I just think that, you know, go in there, the atmosphere that's going to be there. I actually think that this is the hardest challenge that Saints would have had, obviously, since the Penrith game. Yeah. I think it's got a similar feel. So it won't surprise you what I'm about to say next. However, I don't think they win this week, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Go on, say it. Use the line.
Never write off the Saints. But it wouldn't surprise me if this guy, and I know, like, knowing that playing group, it wouldn't surprise me if they galvanise together more than ever as this challenge to go over there and win. It wouldn't surprise me. If it come 10 o'clock Friday night, Saints win the grand final, wouldn't surprise me one bit. However, my head is just telling me, I know what it's like to go over to Catalan. The amount that they're going to build and bull that game up is going to be ridiculous. And it's going to take a very, very, very strong referee, a very strong mindset of a group of players to go over there and get the job done.
Because bar probably Wigan's run of late and St Helens, consistently, Catalans have been fantastic this season, haven't they?
But I think they've got a lot of the bases covered. They do it.
And they had loads of injuries at the beginning of the start of the season as well.
They do it. They seem to do it and take it in their stride. I feel that everything that's happened to them along that journey, all those peaks and troughs, they seem to have handled them really well. Steve McNamara has done a tremendous job of integrating and bringing into the system those French-born players who are learning off the imports, the English lads, the Kiwis, the Aussies, and they're in a really good place. And with the
he's done a brilliant job
with the
Steve
influence
McNamara.
of Sam Tompkins,
with the travelling as well. It's brilliant.
They have to deal with it every week. There's all those factors that we all know about. Everybody complains about doing it once or twice a year. They do it every week, so they've turned it into a real fine art.
What about when the pressure is really on sometimes? I mean, like, no one expected Leeds to win there last year, did they? They won 2010.
Yeah, but I think it's different. And I'm going to contradict myself. I'm the same as Kyle. I can put a case forward for St Helens because it takes a great team to win the competition. It takes an even better team to retain it. So imagine where they are mentally, emotionally after 4, driving for the 5. Now, what makes the 5th one different? Well, it's the journey. They've been up, down and everywhere in between, so the challenge, therefore the reward, is better because they've had to do it in a more convoluted way.
And he talks about that journey. Let's remember that Saints haven't finished outside of the top 2 since 2017. So this group of players, Baz, they have never won it this way before. They've always won it with that home semi. Do you know what I mean?
And a week off.
So it's a different challenge again. And that's why I say that it wouldn't surprise me if they pulled...
You're excited, aren't you?
I'm not even going to say a rabbit out the hat because I think that would be a disservice to Saints. It wouldn't surprise me if they pulled a performance, because I don't think Saints have been playing particularly great anyways leading up to this game. But it wouldn't surprise me if they pulled out a stellar performance. However, I just think that Catalan will just have enough of thinking this game.
Right then, and you get up Saturday morning, have a bacon sandwich, maybe a pint just to steady yourselves, and then you watch Wigan versus Hull KR.
Going to find room there, 4-6, and Hull Kingston Rovers are going to the Super League playoff semi-final.
Saturday lunchtime's game, 12:45 kick-off at Wigan, is live on Channel 4 and live on Sky as well. Carl is working for Channel 4 on Saturday. Look, I don't know which way this is going to go. You've got to fancy Wigan, but then where Hull KR are playing...
Yeah. I'm more confident about picking the winner of this semi-final than I am of the other one. I think we can get this game done. I do.
Yeah.
Again, we've paid credit to Willie Peters, the Hull KR squad. They are improving. Perhaps they need to come out of this season and exited this game to then give them that sort of readiness to attack next season. Do you know what I mean? Almost losing a final, or in this case it would be, obviously they lost the Challenge Cup, but a semi-final in this case. And it's part of their progression as a journey around building towards a team that can actually challenge and compete year in, year out up at the top of the table. I just think the quality and the way you mentioned it, Mar, the way the Wigan are defending at the moment, I think that gives them an awful lot.
They've been awesome for about 3 months now.
Particularly at home as well. I just think that, I think they've got too much for Hull KR this week.
I agree. But what I'm going to do is do what you did. I'm going to put case forward for Hull KR.
Go on.
They defend really well. They kick really well. The weather's going to be a bit different. Typically in October, we get wet, don't we?
It's going to be warm on Saturday,
It's going to be warm. So the speed of the game, the pace of the game, might well suit an attacking side. I talked about the threats. Matt Parcell, I thought, was outstanding. So if they start to win the ruck and they start to determine the speed of the play, the ball, they're on the front foot. Everybody's looking for a space or a hole. I sometimes think Wigan, with their mentality, would rather run into you than around you. They've got players that can run around you with ease in Jay Field and Bevan French, but throughout the team, Hull KR look to run into spaces. They look to promote the ball, and once they get the signal, and that signal comes off some indicators that they have within the game, it's not just we've got 5 minutes now we can play. They're looking at certain signals within their opposition. I think it'd be a great chess match, this. I think it will be a great arm wrestle. Will it be a high scoring points game? It could well be. with two really good defensive sides, I think what they'll do is they'll cancel each other out with their attack.
Right, I'm going to get your final thoughts on our two semi-finals in a moment. But while we've got you, Barry, I was lucky enough to be in a company of Paul Hannigan at Doncaster Races at the Betfred St Ledger, and he was telling me how proud he was since he's retired and he's got involved in a good racing company.
Yeah, the Good Racing Company is run by the people that first set up the Rob Burrow charity arm of the horse racing, to do with horse racing. So the Rob Burrow Racing Club sits under the umbrella of the Good Racing Co. Paul Hannigan, who's a massive rugby league fan. He was a rugby league player as a junior, but when he started to be the same size as a rugby ball, I think he decided to give it up and get on the back of horses for a living. But and obviously he could have had a better life, couldn't he, being a rugby player with shattered knees and shoulders. But
he's had that as a jockey.
Yeah, too true. Yeah, it's a very dangerous sport. I've only learnt that. But great fella who wants to come in and improve what we're doing, and obviously all roads lead to Rob Burrow. He loves going to the races. His family have a great day out. He has far better luck than me, Mark. You know what my betting is like. It's dreadful. But it's always a pleasure to share an afternoon with Rob. So, yeah, people can get involved, go on the website, explore the different options, but, you know, the money will go back to Rob.
And Rob will obviously be disappointed about Leeds this term, but he'll be loving the end of the season, won't it? Because it's going to be a dramatic end of the season.
He doesn't miss a minute. He doesn't miss a minute, Rob. And very often, I've told this, it's an open secret. I've told this many times. He'll give me a word to get in a commentary, and it might be a phrase or a song or just some random word. He gave me blancmange not too long ago. I was supposed to get blancmange into a game, I don't know, but them are the little gifts I give him while he's sat at home slagging us off.
Brilliant. Right then, fellas, I've really enjoyed your company. Right, who wins the Betfred Women's Grand Final?
York.
I've got to go Leeds, Anna.
Yeah.
Got to go Leeds.
You got to, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to go, you're going there next, aren't
Lewis
you?
Forsell, I've got her girls winning.
Right, and then which two teams are we building up to next week?
Imagine if I said Saints now after that. No, I think Catalan Wigan. Hope I'm wrong.
I think Catalan Wigan, but just to be awkward, because it's been the year of the underdog and the upset, I'm going to go Catalan Hull KR.
Wow.
And then there'd be a new name on the trophy, of course, wouldn't there? Gents, really, really enjoyed your company. So the grand final for the women is this Sunday live on Sky. And then we build up to the men's final on Saturday, the 14th of October at Old Trafford. Thanks for watching. See you next week.